Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Metcalf and I watch the film so you don't have to. On this video, we're taking a look at how Mikel Brown Jr. helped lead Team USA to another gold medal at the FIBA U19 World Cup. Now, I know AJ DeBonsa walked away with MVP honors, and no shade to him, he had a solid tournament, but to me, Brown was the catalyst that drove everything, especially on the offensive end, for this USA basketball team. Brown led the team in points, assists, and three-point shooting as he averaged 14.9 points, 6.1 assists, 2.1 rebounds, and shooting splits of 47, 48, 82. When Brown got hot from outside, he was unstoppable. But even in the games where the shot wasn't falling, Brown was finding other ways to impact winning and almost always had one of the highest, if not the highest, plus minuses on the team. Louisville fans should be ecstatic about what Brown's freshman season could look like, as he gave yet another really fascinating taste of how talented he really is. Let's take a look at how Brown found success and helped this USA basketball team win yet another gold medal. Welcome to Film School. Let's dive in. The place we have to start with Brown is with his outside shot, because averaging 6 attempts per game and shooting 47.6% from three, it's kind of bonkers. And what was so impressive about Brown's outside shooting, obviously the efficiency is incredible, but the variety of shots that he took really stood out. We see him spotting up in the corner, hitting movement stuff in transition. He was pulling up off the bounce, and he had a quick, confident release, even from the logo. And his ability to relocate on the perimeter, be that off-ball outlet, was really important for this team, for this USA team. But also his ability to run the pick and roll and be able to pull up wherever he wanted adds a whole nother layer and level of complexity when it comes to defending him. And these are legitimately NBA level three-point attempts where they're highly contested. He's reading the pick and roll coverage, and he's pulling up well behind the NBA arc. This is really impressive stuff from him. So just right off the bat, defender gets aggressive in gap coverage, cuts off the drive. Sound, you have to do it, especially at this age level. But if you're doing it and helping off of Mikel Brown, he's going to make you pay, just like that. Spotting up in the corner. He's even signaling, hey, kick it out to AJ. Mandaquit makes a nice read, looks out the defender, leaves Brown wide open in the corner. He's going to make that almost every time. Here we see him, and that's deep, really deep. And on the catch, he knows that this shot is going up, because yet again, we see France playing this aggressive gap coverage, trying to play zone, trying to protect the paint. It doesn't matter, because if you're playing that aggressively off of shooters like Brown, he's going to make you pay. And that's just way too easy for a shooter of his caliber. Here in transition, he did a really nice job of filling the lane, running middle, and now just vacating that immediately and filling that open corner, because he knows Koa Pete's coming down the lane. He knows AJ DeBonsa is pushing with the ball. His job is not to occupy that lane. It's to get out, create space, and force the defender to make a decision. AJ makes a nice, simple read, kicks out to him, gets his feet set, gets organized, money from the corner. What are we doing? This is a teenager. The fact that this is a normal shot for teenagers now is insane, and it shouldn't be. I can't stress this enough. The vast majority of teenagers should not be taking the shot, but Mikel Brown is not the vast majority of teenagers. Off the catch, the second he catches this, he doesn't second guess it. He doesn't hesitate whatsoever. That shot's going up, and it's just incredibly easy for him. Nice little relocation, money. Here, I love the relocation here. He initially flashes to make himself available for AJ. Instead, he delivers that bounce pass to Stokes in the middle of the floor, which gets the top of the zone defender to try and gamble here. Brown wastes no time and counters that gamble by the defender by now making himself available to Stokes by relocating to the opposite wing. Does a really good job filling that space, getting his feet set, and not wasting any time. If he would have taken an extra second here to try and get organized, try and get a little more under balance before elevating, defender would have been able to close out on him, but instead he does it at full game speed, gets organized immediately, great shot prep, great anticipation of what he's going to do in recognition of the situation, balanced, incredible. Here they fake the DHO. No, they don't even fake it here. So Kamenia is going to pitch it back to him, go to simulate the screen. Brown immediately sees that they're trying to switch this, and as Kamenia slips under, no one steps to Brown. So they signal the switch. Neither Furphy or Daniels actually covers Brown, and Brown continues to prove that the second he's over half court, he's within range. So this may seem like a bad shot for a lot of guys. We're continuously seeing that it isn't for Mikel Brown. Here, pick and roll. Love this. I love how fast he was operating out of the pick and roll, especially in this game, where as Merez Johnson sets that screen, Brown immediately has eyes. He knows that Olivier Roux isn't stepping out and defending in space. He knows that he's staying firmly planted, both feet in the paint. So as he identifies his man getting caught up even just a little bit on that screen, he's confidently stepping into that jumper, unaffected by Roux, unaffected by his primary defender. Little bit of a late contest here, but Brown's ability to elevate and really get into a shot helps give him a clean eye line to the rim, knocks it down. Again, we see him in a non-ball roll. His defender goes under, drop defender drops and doesn't respect Brown despite him continuously carving them up in this game, gives him way too much space. Brown reads it. He takes what the defense gives him. Routine. And that's just, a little saucy. And I'm just going to rise up here because I want to. So they ran that little high pick and roll. So Steinbeck tries to force him out. And he's like, you know what? We got 10 seconds left. I have a somewhat clean look here. There's going to be a late contest. Who cares? Let's shoot it because I'm that dude. Turns out Mikel Brown is that dude. Really similar thing, just not overly dynamic or complex space creation here, but little hang dribble, jab step, gets the defender to retreat just that half step. Just bah. Really good use of the jab step, creates that extra space. Pretty clean look, solid late contest, but by the time that ball's out of his hand, Brown's getting it off pretty cleanly, knocks it down. The shooting alone with Mikel Brown makes him one of the more fascinating incoming freshmen to next year. That alone is going to make him one of Louisville's most fun players, but the shooting is just scratching the surface with Mikel Brown as a player. Brown's primary method of scoring throughout this tournament was from three, averaged 6 3-point attempts per game compared to just 4.7 2-point attempts per game. But on those 2-point attempts, he showed a lot of craft, a lot of creativity, a lot of versatility, and still shot 45.5% from two. So the way that he uses the threat of that outside shot to set up interior looks is really impressive. And as we saw there, he's got some sneaky bounce to him as well. So as he relocates out to the corner here, Kamenia is going to hit him with that bounce pass, and the threat of the outside shot forces the long closeout. Brown, unfortunately, he takes a little bit of a rounded drive here, and that's something that also kind of showed up throughout this tournament, is some of his struggles feels too dramatic. But some of his struggles with physicality and playing through that, I think a lot of that just will come with time and as his body continues to develop. But that rounded drive here allows his defender to stay attached pretty well. Instead, if he would have thrown up a little shot fake, get his defender to rise out of his stance just a little bit, and then cut that even just half a step further in, he's probably getting a cleaner look. But we're going to see how dynamic he is as a shot maker regardless. So I love that little hezzy that he throws in here. So as he drives, he realizes that his defender's in good position. hits him with a little bit of a hezzy right there, and then explodes to the middle of the floor. And that little hesitation put his defender just a half step behind the play, fully in catch-up mode. Defender's not in a bad spot here, but Brown is so quick and athletic that by the time he rises here, he gets great elevation on his jumper, fades away from the defender, so even if there is a late contest, it's not going to affect him. Clean eye line to the rim, and he was so quick at elevating and getting into a shot that the defender doesn't even have time to react and get a legitimate contest on it, and he knocks in the little mid-range jumper. Here we see him in a pick and roll situation. Germany blitzes it, and Brown does a really good job here of stopping on a dime, planting that left foot, crossing back over to the middle, because as he gets to this spot, he knows that Steinbach is retreating to Merez Johnson. He sees Christian Andersen rotating over, so he knows Merez isn't the play here. Defense is tight there, defense is tight there. So he's still in, all right, I got to create something for myself mode. And the pace manipulation here, the pace control, that ability to stop on a dime and then attack against the defender's momentum is really special stuff. And then to combine that with immediately exploding back to the middle of the floor and recognizing that Merez is going to get post position and driving against that towards where he's trying to, set up and create the pass, allows him to then reuse that. That allows him to reuse Merez's dive down to the middle of the lane as a new screen. Johnson does a tremendous job here of holding Steinbach off. Brown's speed gets him to the other side of the rim, unaffected, easy layup. And here, who doesn't love a good old-fashioned big-time dunk? Nothing crazy here, but that threat of his shooting draws the defender way out. Actually, this is just on the inbound pass. So Brown just inbounded it to Kamenia. Brown catches his defender slightly out of position, trying to go for that pass, and he immediately beelines for the paint. Quickly sees no one's bothering to protect the rim, shows off the speed, shows off the hops. It's kind of fun. And then finally, just the speed that he attacks the drop defense. So similar thing to the pull-up three against Ryu, where he was planted in the paint and Brown hit that pull-up three. We see something similar here. He probably could have gone in a similar fashion and just risen up from three right there, but his defender gets over a little cleaner. Pete doesn't set the screen. He's looking to slip and get into space a little quicker. So instead, Brown sprints right to the free throw line and quickly elevates. He knows that Ryu isn't going to step to him, so all he's worried about is beating his defender to that spot and getting into a shot before his defender can either recover or get a late contest on it. That's exactly what he does. Sprints into it, quickly elevates, good elevation, little bit of a lean forward, playing into his momentum, and then also just leaning just a little further away from his defender, but great release point for a 6'3", 6'4" guard. Great elevation. He gets so high on his jumper. It makes it really difficult to contest, especially late when guards are out of position. So the vast majority of, not the vast majority, but most of Brown's scoring threat throughout this tournament came from three. But he also does a really tremendous job of using that threat of the outside shot to then set up 2-point attempts and 2-point looks, both in the mid-range and at the rim, showing a bit of athleticism, speed, and creativity. The scoring is great, but what makes Brown such a fascinating point guard prospect is the playmaking. Throughout the tournament, Brown ranked 5th in assists per game at 6.1, but of that top 5, he also ranked 2nd in assists per 40 and was tied for 1st with the best assist to turnover ratio. Brown's creativity, threat of scoring gravity, the way he plays off of it, and the playmaking vision was really spectacular this year. The shooting versatility allows him to play on or off ball, but the way that he sees the floor and sets up teammates is exactly why you want him running the point. He makes simple reads, but he also manipulates defenders, forces defensive rotations, and counters defensive mistakes. He does such a good job of dictating everything on the court and putting his teammates in the best position possible to capitalize and get an easy look. So as we run through some of these, high pick and roll does a really good job here of the escape dribble. He gets blitzed right away. Nice little escape dribble, and keeps that dribble alive. He doesn't kill it and force someone to come get it and have to reset the offense. Escape dribble keeps it alive, and now he's attacking downhill. Shows off the handle, shows off the speed, shows off the bend, gets really low here to cut in front of his defender. I mean, this alone is a freakish move to explode there, extend, get low, covers a ton of ground here, getting really low to snake around that defender, putting him on his back, putting him in jail out of an isolation situation, which is incredibly difficult. That forces the rotation by the rim protector. Little head fake gets him in the air, dumps it off to Jacobson. Easy dunk. Here, just pure blow by speed yet again. This is hey, you're 6 inches out of position. I'm going to use my speed and torch you, which is exactly what Brown does. Forces that secondary rotation. He knows that once the big man starts rotating over, it's going to be difficult for him to stop on a dime, get back. He just peeks over his shoulder, finds Merez Johnson. Good shot fake, nice patience, easy layup. Gets the switch in the pick and roll, fights through the physicality. This is one of those instances where Brown is really good at going from point A to point B and fighting through the traffic and the physicality of the defense. Gets that switch. He knows he can beat him with his speed. Secures it through the help dig. Fights through. Now he's in a 2-on-1 situation. Forces that rotation from his previous defender. Dumps it off to Merez Johnson. Draws the foul. Empty corner pick and roll. This one's nasty. So empty corner pick and roll. First read here is Merez rolling in, but drop defender stays with Merez, which opens up the lane for Brown to attack into. He reads it immediately, explodes there, which forces the help rotation from the opposite wing. As this rotation comes, Koa Pete does a great job of cutting. His man's eyes are totally obsessed with the ball right now, so he cuts, which puts all the pressure on the weak side defender. That's exactly who Mikel Brown is reading. He's reading this guy, and if he collapses down on the Koa Pete drive, he knows that Jordan Smith is going to be wide open in the corner. If he stays on Smith, then he knows Koa Pete's going to be wide open at the rim. Defender collapses down. Brown skips it out. Perfect pass right in his shooting pocket. Wide open three. Just doesn't fall. Similar thing. This one a little flashier. So a little double drag action here. Solid screen by Merez. Forces drop defender to stay engaged. Forces help tag. Help defender sinks down. Brown the read probably should have been out here to Pete, but Pete's not a very good outside shooter. He probably wouldn't have taken the shot anyways. But what Brown is reading here is he's seeing this weak side defender cheat down a little bit, but he never gets a foot fully in the paint. What's impressive here, though, is the offhand live dribble skip pass to set up AJ for a pretty good look from three. Shot doesn't fall. Nothing overly complicated, but just again shows Brown's vision right away. So he's immediately, once he gets the ball, his eyes are scanning all of this. AJ recognizes it too. They both see that AJ's defender here is totally ball watching. He has no interest in playing off ball defense. He's signaling that he has AJ. He has no clue. Brown knows that. AJ knows that. And the second that AJ makes that cut and goes baseline, Brown's throwing it up for him. in a spot that only he can get it. Great location. AJ doesn't have to do much except catch it, redirect it, and he gets the highlight. Again, this one isn't overly complicated. I just love the vision to see AJ unoccupied on the opposite wing, and then that decisiveness of, hey, let's just go. Canada's battling with us right now. Let's go. Let's push in transition. Not even transition, early offense, and just get a quick look. 22 seconds on the clock. Skip pass in the early offense. Hits AJ in stride, allows him to attack downhill full force, gets the foul and the bucket. High pick and roll, Koa Pete, nothing crazy. Just a really solid pocket pass, something that Brown's going to do 1,000 times next season. But the decisiveness, the live dribble, hits him right in stride. Good pace, allows him to get that runway for the big time dunk. Again, high pick and roll, puts his defender in jail, pushes off a little bit, does a good job putting him in jail, creating separation, exploding into that space. Shot fake, gets the drop defender to engage, bails out of the shot, hits Koa Pete in stride, and allows him to draw the foul. High pick and roll, Koa Pete yet again. Sensing a theme with Koa Pete's role here on this team. High pick and roll. Great little in and out dribble to freeze the help rotation from the zone defender. In and out, explodes to the middle of the floor. Looks off, help defender. Stokes does a good job of playing that dunker spot. Brown does a really good job of looking off both these defenders. Kicking out to AJ, wide open on the wing. No look pass. One of the few threes AJ made, but really good job by Brown dictating everything and collapsing the defense, getting to wherever he wanted, and then reading and reacting to what the defense gave him to set up his teammates for really excellent looks the entire tournament. Now, the sales pitch with Brown is the offense. It's the shooting, the scoring, the playmaking. That's the sales pitch. But there's also some really fun defensive stuff with him too. It's not always great. I'm not saying he's going to be an elite defender, but he's showing us signs that he potentially could be. And the measurement with Brown, if you look on Louisville, he's listed at 6'5", I believe. FIBA had him at 6'3", and with that athleticism in that 6'3" to 6'5" range, there could be some legitimate defensive growth with him, especially given some of the fundamental stuff that we showed here. Really good footwork off the bat here. Gets a little high in his stance. So right from the start, though, I love sitting down in his stance. Gambles a little bit on the dig there, but good job opening up his hips, sliding his feet. Gets a little high here in his stance and has to turn to chase and recover. Good help dig here. This isn't perfect, but the way that Brown is staying attached, competing, playing physical, making life really difficult for the ball handler, elevating. I mean, God, look at how high he gets here. On a situation where the ball handler fumbles it out of bounds. So not perfect, but some really good flashes of a desire and intent to defend at a high level, actually sitting down in his stance, sliding his feet for the first couple steps. He has to be a little better about stringing that on throughout the entire possession, but good flashes of fundamentals and physicality. Yet again, same thing here. Does a really good job anticipating that drive, playing with his chest, sliding, cutting it off, playing physical despite being a little more slender of frame, and forcing the ball handler to fumble the ball here, which then results in a steal. He capitalizes. Let's go the other way. Get an easy layup. Little inverted pick and roll. They're trying to target Brown, and he's having none of it. They switch it. Great defense. Slides his feet, sits down in his stance, invites the contact to his chest. Great spin move here, but Brown shows off his quickness, his ability to to recover really quickly, especially when the ball handler's footwork gets a little tangled up here. Even though he's out of, he's momentarily half a step, if that, out of position, does a great job immediately getting back into it, contesting, just making the shot difficult, making life difficult. And now we get some of the, fun athleticism where in transition, Brown shows off that leaping ability, some of the advantages that he could have depending on how he measures. Stuff like this makes it a little more encouraging. Gets the block in transition, and now they're immediately going the other way. Great shot prep, and just no hesitation, rises up into an extremely deep transition three. So there's some really fun stuff with Mikel Brown's defense. I'm fascinated to see how it's going to translate at Louisville. The sales pitch with him, again, I promise, is the offensive stuff. But there's some really intriguing signs with what he could grow into as a defender. So where does that leave us with Mikel Brown Jr. entering his freshman season at Louisville? Brown was truly terrific throughout the entire FIBA U19 World Cup. He controlled the pace, the intent, the ball movement, the scoring versatility, and pretty much every look that their offense got while he was on the court. He showcased scoring versatility both on and off ball. He showed legitimate NBA range already. A unique ability to get into the paint using his quickness, his bend, the flexibility, and the explosiveness that we don't typically see from players his size at his age. Brown's ability to collapse the defense, get to wherever you want, and then also use that outside shot as a legitimate weapon, then force the defense to defend him in ways that created awesome looks for his teammates. And Brown was more than willing to set them up however they needed to be set up. On top of that, we saw some intriguing defensive stuff with Brown. Is he perfect? No. Is there work to be done? Of course, there always is, but the athletic tools with some of the flashes of sitting down in a stance and playing with his chest and playing with a sense of physicality and determination that a lot of point guards don't play with could make him a really special all-around player. As we enter this next season, Mikel Brown might be one of the 4 best prospects in the 2026 NBA draft. I'm still getting used to saying 2026, but the way that he continues to grow his game and how he shows out at every single event, showcase, tournament, game, practice is important, because he continues to state that he is one of the guys, that he is one of the top dogs in this freshman class, and potentially the best point guard in the 2026 NBA draft. A long season to come, but Mikel Brown is starting off on a really strong foot.